Well, it's been a while since we've done a TurnTalk episode, a year or two maybe, and I've been getting some questions, so I thought it was time to address some of these questions. One of the most important questions is about finish, particularly what is the best finish for wood turning? I've been asked that. I've been asked what's my favorite finish for wood turning, things along that nature. The answer is actually quite subjective. You ask a dozen wood turners what their favorite finish is or what the best finish is, and you're going to get about 3 dozen answers. That's the nature of the beast. My answer in short is, well, it really kind of depends. I have several favorite finishes, and I have several finishes that I use on a regular basis. So check this out. Well, like many other turners, I'm often asked that question. What is the best finish, or what is my favorite? And the answer is actually somewhat subjective in all actuality, because different turners have different preferences. I know turners that will only use the same high gloss finish on everything. I know other turners that will only use a friction polish, like Mylan's friction polish, or Hut, or OB Shine Juice. So it depends on, largely it depends on the turner, but for me it actually depends more on the piece itself. Does it say to me, I want to be natural? Or does it say, I need to shine? Or does it say, I need a little sheen, but don't get carried away? I know that sounds silly, but when I'm turning, I listen to the wood very often as to what it wants to be. I do the same thing concerning a finish. For example, take this piece of spalted hackberry. If you remember, this is the one that was attacked by carpenter bees, and so I evacuated them. And I left this finish relatively natural. It's got a little bit of a sheen to it, but not a whole lot. I didn't want to use a wax on it because it would fill these voids and holes and turn white. I say I didn't want to use a wax on it. There's one wax that doesn't do that, and that's Howard feeding wax. That's what I used. That's all it needed. Same goes for this piece of fire or case hardened pine that was hardened by the fire. When I finished sanding it, I applied Mylan sanding sealer, and then I finished it front, back, and inside and out with Howard feeding wax. It's got a little more sheen than the other one did. That was because of the density of the wood. It's a very dense wood that is very close poured right now, unlike this piece of hackberry. Sometimes I want a more of a semi-gloss, as was the case of this platter with the engravings on it. So what I did in this case was, once I got it sanded up, I used Mylan sanding sealer on it, and I sprayed a couple of coats of lacquer on it, and then I buffed it out to get the lacquer nice and smooth with Axe abrasive paste, and then I took it to the laser and engraved it. I did the engraving last because if I had used the Axe abrasive paste after I did the engraving, it would have filled the engravings with wax and it would have turned white and ugly, and I didn't want that. So that's another option. It's not terribly shiny, but it's shiny enough. If I don't care that the piece ambers, I'll use a variety of finishes. I may use antique oil, or I may use a Danish oil finish, or a tung oil finish. Those have dryers in them, and they're building finishes, and it takes a couple of days, 1 day per coat, and you just build it up until you have the sheen that you want. If I want to use a Danish oil finish that doesn't really have a lot of sheen, it builds up more of a satiny look, then I'll use Hampshire Sheen Danish oil. I like that finish a lot. If I have a very tight grain, closed grain, dense piece that I want a nice shine on, and I want it to be relatively quick, I'll use a couple of coats of Hampshire Sheen. until I have the shine that I'm looking for. It's a relatively durable finish, and I like using this stuff. More often than not, my go-to finish for the last 23 years has been Deft lacquer. You can get it in gloss, semi-gloss, or satin. I have them all. However, recently Deft was bought out by PPG, and this is getting harder and harder to find, and they've relabeled it to their own. And I haven't used it yet, but I've heard from some that have. It's not the same as the old Deft. So that's a shame. I really like Deft lacquer. I'm going to have to find another good lacquer source that's not going to break the bank. So lately I've been trying Rust-Oleum 2X Ultra. It's not a lacquer, it's an enamel, but it gives a nice gloss finish and a good coverage. And I've been relatively happy with this finish. Like I said, I'll use an oil, an oil-based polyurethane, or an oil finish like antique oil or Danish oil or whatever, if I don't mind if it ambers the wood or changes the color. Well, sometimes I want the wood left natural color. I don't want it to be ambered. And the only three finishes that come to mind that I can use for that is the Deft that I just showed, or lacquer, that clear enamel, or water-based poly. After I get those applied, you're always going to have a little bit of a, well, it's not always going to orange peel, but it kind of looks that way sometimes. But it's not going to, you're not in a wood shop. You're just not going to end up with a smooth, even finish. Things are going to happen. Dust is going to get on it or whatever. So most turners will buff their pieces out using something like the Beal buff system or whatever. I've got a buffing system. I've never had really good luck with it. That's on me, that's not on the system. But I have found something that works very well for me every time. Whether it be this bowl that's got a lacquer finish on it, a gloss lacquer finish, it's dusty on the inside right now. But whether it be this bowl done with lacquer, or this mesquite that was done with the 2X Ultra clear gloss. This was not Lichtenberg, by the way. I did it on my laser. I will buff them out inside and out with Axe abrasive paste. It works great to give you a nice, smooth, even coat all the way around. And after I hit it with Axe abrasive paste, then I follow it up with Axe polish and restoring paste. And I always get a really pretty finish. And I will show you how I do that in my next TurnTalk series, because I'm going to buff these out. I'll buff this inside. I will not buff the front because I want to leave this texture. But I will buff out the back, and I'll buff out the inside, and I will buff out this bowl inside and out as well. And that'll be my next video. It'll be a TurnTalk series as well, and I'll show you how I do that. Well, what if you want a food safe finish? First off, there's a number of food safe finishes available. Most finish manufacturers will tell you that after their finish has been fully cured, all the VOCs are gone and their finishes are food safe. You can believe that hogwash if you want to. I don't. If it had VOCs in it to start with, what guarantee do I have they're all gone? I don't want to take that chance. So for the last 30, 40 years, for my cutting boards, I've not used anything but mineral oil. But Billy, mineral oil is a petroleum byproduct. Yes, it is, but it's been described and used for decades with no discernible side effect to keep people regular. So I've been using mineral oil on my cutting boards. I've been using pure tung oil, no dryers. This is 100% pure tung oil. You apply as many coats as you want to make the piece look like you want it to look. And this is a building and a drying finish, but it dries naturally. And this is 100% food safe. One of the only finishes that is. Well, Billy, linseed oil is food safe too. Raw linseed oil is food safe. It does not go rancid. Pure tung oil does not go rancid. Boiled linseed oil has dryers in it. I don't trust them. Some people will tell you, well, food oils are safe. Yeah, but they go rancid. You don't want it sitting in a piece because they never dry. They stay the way they stay oil, even if it's in the pores, and they will go rancid. Well, Billy walnut oil doesn't go rancid. Mahoney's might not, but my daughter carries an EpiPen because she is deathly allergic to walnut, and I'm not going to use it. Seed oils will go rancid. Since we're talking about food safe finishes, let's talk for just a little bit about how to care for a product that's utilitarian in nature, like a cutting board or a salad bowl or a cereal bowl or whatever you're going to eat out of it, soup bowl. Do not wash them with soap, ever. Wood is naturally antibiotic. I've shown this numerous times using a black light and a cutting board that I made over 25 years ago, and I've never washed it with water. I just keep applying every 6 months or so mineral oil. That's all I've ever used on it. And compared that to a plastic cutting board that's got all kinds of scratches and whatnot in it, that's been run through the dishwasher, and you can look at some of those plastic cutting boards under a black light and you'll see fluorescence. That means there's nasties there. Hit one of my cutting boards with a black light, you'll never see anything. Wood is naturally antibiotic. You just need to keep the wood protected. You need to keep it moistened. And how do you do that? Either with mineral oil or with pure tongue oil. I recently started using another product on my food safe pieces, and I really like it. It's Axe First Step, and the reason I like it is because it's pure tongue oil and beeswax. Neither of those are harmful in any way whatsoever. People eat beeswax. They've been eating it for decades, if not centuries. And what I like about the mixture is the oil penetrates into the wood just like using regular pure tongue oil, but then the application of the beeswax on top of it just gives it an added layer of protection. And you may not have to redo it quite as often as using mineral oil. So the next application on my cutting board is going to get Axe First Step, period. And everything I make is food safe here on after. I really like it. Now, Howard Butcher Block Finish is supposed to be food safe. I've not tried it, but I've heard good things about it. Howard Feed and Wax, however, is not. It has stuff in it. I think it's the drying agent in the orange oil, maybe, that keeps it from being food safe. But I still apply it with my fingers, and I'm still around. So those are the types of finishes that I use. Again, this is just the fat boy talking. I'm not necessarily a finish expert. I know what works for me, and I know what I like. One example, I typically, like I said, I let the wood make the decision, but not always. Not so long ago, I did a multicolored blended live oak vase that I just really wanted shiny, so I used Depth gloss lacquer on it, and it came out beautiful. So the choice is up to you. I've given you some information. I've told you what I like, why I like what I like, and what I don't like. And there's just all kinds of options out there. You just have to find the finish that you like the best, that works best for you. There is no hard, dyed-in-the-wool correct answer for what finish is best. There just really isn't. I don't care what anybody tells you. You've got to find the one that you like the best, that you like working with the best, that works best for you. It's really that simple. Again, next video won't necessarily be a turning video, but I'm going to show you how I use Axe Abrasive paste and a polish and restoring paste to buff out two pieces. I'm going to do one that was done with lacquer. I'm going to do one that was done with the Rust-Oleum 2X Ultra clear gloss, and then we can get back to either turning or working on that wine table cabinet thing for my wife. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to this old man ramble, and y'all come back. Have a great day.